I want to go out and paint people who are less fortunate and who couldn't afford to have their portrait painted and give them some representation. And I was so excited about it. Of course, I thought it was like the most unique thing, like who's done this before. And then I realized later on, like there have been countless people who've done that before, who've painted, you know, people who are less fortunate. But it also, it pushed me to, you know, combine what I know as a painter and also to have something to say as an artist. So that was the culmination of that, and then from there, I did some sort of minor illustration jobs, and it wasn't until very recently, you know, I went back to SVA in 2021, around the time of the pandemic, a little bit after the pandemic, and mostly because I realized that the art world can be fickle, and I wasn't totally as sure about whether I would be successful or not. But I didn't want to stop. As an artist, I don't want to focus on, you know, making money, even though that is extremely important. You know, everyone needs to pay bills, everyone needs to take care of their rent, and you know, and I have a child, and I mean, he's not a child anymore. No, he's still a child, and I still have to be able to support him. And so I needed to make, you know, I need to be able to pay my bills, pay my rent. But I wanted to also do something that would be equally fulfilling and something that was also along the lines of art. So I went back to SVA to become an art educator and art teacher.
Oh, wow.
And
it's like a full circle moment. That's amazing.
Yeah. And also because I'm thinking about legacy. My son isn't very artistically inclined. I wanted him to have his own identity. So I didn't push hard in that area to have him, you know, become an artist, because I wanted him to be his own person. Yeah. But I did consider that there are other younger people out there who may want to become an artist. And I thought about my circumstances, you know, and what I've been through in the past. So I went back to SVA. SVA was great. They saw, you know, what direction I was moving in. They gave me another partial scholarship, a second scholarship. And again, phenomenal staff. Wow. Catherine Roseman
Shout out to Kathy.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Kathy, she's I say it all the time. She's like another mother to me, probably to everyone there. She's, you know, absolutely great as a support, but not just, you know, as a support, as a human being, as an educator, you know, and career wise. Yeah. She's phenomenal. The entire staff there is phenomenal, and so I went into SBA and I was kind of thrust into the education aspect. So I applied to like New York Teach, or I'm not sure what exactly it was, but within maybe a month of me attending courses at SVA, I received an email asking if I wanted to sub at a school. So I had to work full time as an art teacher sub, as a substitute art teacher, while I was also attending classes for my master's at SVA.
Being a father and an artist, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I was also, here's another full circle moment. I was also fortunate that on the sub teacher page, you can choose what schools that are available, and whether or not, you know, they'll accept you there. And I chose a school that was across the street from a family shelter that my family was in when I was younger, around the time that, literally the time that I was first incarcerated. My family was in that shelter. Yeah. So I worked at that school, and I wasn't perfect. You know, I didn't know a whole lot about writing lesson plans, and there were times where I may have been late. You know, a lot of it was overwhelming. It was learning a lot of new things and then also trying to apply them. And I tend to work a little bit slower. And I'm not making excuses for it.
No, I understand.
So I didn't do as well as I could have that year. But just the idea that I hope that I had some effect on some of the students who were in that shelter system or who lived in that neighborhood. There's a lot of public housing in the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that isn't, it's not the Upper West Side. It's in the Lower East Side. There's not, a whole lot of, it's not a high income neighborhood. So my biggest hope was that I had some effect on some of the students there and could inspire them to push themselves further, whether it was art or whatever it is that they chose, So, I chose to be there and I had that experience and I, for me, I think it was a great experience. Professionally, I could have absolutely have done better, but I'll work from there. And then I think the next year I worked at Corona Arts and Sciences in Queens. And I did a lot better there, once you have the experience and you know what to expect. And I was still at SVA, but I got to a place where I could now, I know about making lesson plans and coming up with a curriculum and classroom management, and all of these sorts of things. And I had some experience from my previous school. So I did much better there. And I think the students appreciated me a lot more there as well. Yeah. And I think the staff appreciated me a lot more there as well. And then I also learned about it. It also informed my art practice in a sense of what am I putting out and what I think people will be accepting of and what people will be interested in. So for instance, I learned a lot about social emotional learning, and there's a lot of components of the social aspect of art, how art affects people, how people work together to accomplish things, the emotional aspects of it in the context of learning, and how people can regulate their emotions through activities, through art, particularly the students. But it also made me think about culture and what I'm teaching in the schools. So for instance, as an art teacher, in most cases, you have to come up with your own curriculum. It's not like teaching history or teaching art history. So I was afforded the opportunity to teach the students about their culture. I love Picasso. I love Rubens is, one of my favorite artists. I have, a lot of books I love books. I have, tons of books of my favorite artists. But I also realized that I'm going into a school where there's a lot of students with parents from Central America, Latin American students. And I didn't want to go into those schools and teach them in a way that I wanted to give them hope and I wanted to give them inspiration and show them that there are Mexican artists that are viable. There are Ecuadorian artists that, are alive and making money and it's successful, and are being seen in museums and galleries. So I also kind of grew up with this idea that as an artist, you probably won't make any money until you die, or you won't be famous until you die, and I think in a lot of circumstances, especially in neighborhoods where there's lower income, that's kind of the narrative. So I was fortunate to be, put in a place where I can speak to those students in that way, where I can say, you know what, here's an artist from Ecuador or from Guatemala, or here's an art form from there, as opposed to the Western history that I've learned, where I can share with them a part of their history, and help them add on to their history. And if they want to, to move forward as an artist and push that legacy further within their own culture. So for instance, I love Halloween. Like it's
Oh, me
my
too.
absolute favorite holiday.
Yeah.
But I'm in a school with, again, mostly Central American students. So I broke the lesson down into the Day of the Dead
Mhm.
and also a celebration of Halloween.
Oh, that's very
But
nice.
through my celebration of Halloween, I wanted to focus more on art techniques. You
Yeah.
know, I had several classes of students who actually chose to be there. So they were willing to learn how to draw. They were willing to learn how to paint. So I said, let's focus on, maybe doing still lifes, something that I learned how to do, as an artist to learn technique. So we did still life, we did pumpkins and gourds to represent like the fall and the
Yeah.
aspect of Halloween. But then again, I wanted to focus on their culture. So we learned about lino cut prints, about
Mhm.
printmaking. And I know printmaking is pretty big in Mexico, where they use printmaking for a lot of different ceremonies and a lot of parties, and because it's able to be mass produced easier, and also the fact that they have their own holiday. So I said, let's have a class where we're doing printmaking, but it's focused on the Day of the Dead.
Mhm.
And it gives the students the opportunity to celebrate their culture, but also learn a technique
Yeah.
that they can apply, and a technique that they can be successful with. That I don't know if you've ever been in Jackson Heights. There's a lot of a lot of commerce,
Mhm.
in some areas, and often you see people with tables, you see people with like churro stands, you see all these different things. If you're walking down like Broadway, I believe it is, you'll see like all of the stores and you see all of the vendors. And again, it gave me the opportunity to tell these students, if you're worried about, whether or not you're going to be making some money as an artist, you can make prints.
Yeah.
Now you have this ability, what the tools are, what the materials are. You've made some of these prints. You're going to go home with, this linoleum that you've carved yourself, and you know how to make these prints. All you need to do is buy the ink, have some paper ready, and you can make more prints. And you can go out and set up a table and sell those prints.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So it helped me, and it helped me with my lesson plans in that way. But I also hope to help inspire those students to feel like they can be successful, that they can be able to sustain themselves as artists, and then also to be proud of their culture,
Yeah.
and not feel like
See themselves in the world.
yeah,
Yeah.
that we're not, like I said, I appreciate Picasso,
Yeah.
and I appreciate Warhol and all of their work, but a lot of times if we don't see that there are people like us
Mhm.
who can accomplish these things, it may feel a little bit far off,
Yeah.
So I really wanted to be able to offer them that.
As you previously mentioned, when you were like 16 and getting in trouble because you didn't have some like enough, like, let's say, guidance, as you said, I don't think you realized, like, even though you didn't have that, you became that for somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
if you
hope
think about
so.
it, like, I'm just like so amazed by like the timeline of your life
Yes.
and how, like, little by little, like, the universe pushed you in the right way.
Yeah.
Like, giving little clues. And then now, like, you became the exact like a hero almost, I think, to the people that you taught. Because I mean, I interviewed a lot of people, and I never seen somebody, talk about their students saying, "I wanted them to see themselves in what they're learning." So I think that's beautiful. That's
Thank
really,
you.
that's
Thank
really
you.
amazing.
Well, I feel it's kind of cliche, but my story is kind of like a typical hero's journey tale. The hero's journey, you deal with some situation, you leave, you learn something, you
Yeah.
come back, and then sort of seen as a hero if you can inspire other
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
to overcome the
I feel like in
circumstances.
the future they might be getting interviewed, and the way you talked about Kathy, they're going to be talking about you, let's say, like 10, 20 years from now.
I
If you
would,
think
I would
about
hope
it.
so. I would love it.
Yeah.
There's every once in a while also. So I've also I've worked at outside of SVA. I've worked at some private schools. Being an educator is, at this time, I'm still seeking employment. It's not as easy,
Mhm.
and so I've had to work at whatever I can take here, there, along with completing my art. Like I'm doing illustration. It's okay. I'm doing illustration. I'm teaching at some schools. I may be at one school for a week, however long they need me, and then hoping to go to another school. But every once in a while, I'll bump into one of my students. And for me, the best thing is either having the students recognize you and stop and talk to you, because I've been a student before, and I know the feeling of like, that's one of my teachers coming. I don't want to talk to this guy. You're kind of getting out of the way, But I also know the feeling of being around one or two teachers that I trust and that I care about, or that I felt like at least cared about me. And when you see them, you recognize them, and you're like, I remember my kindergarten teacher, to this day.
Oh, wow.
And I saw her a few years ago on a train.
No
and,
way, really?
Yeah, I saw her a while ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago on a train. And immediately, Miss Tenort, I remember her name. I remember her face. And she was a lot older now, but I've recognized her. I know who she was. So I hope, when I do, like I said, I've been on a train myself, and I'm walking through, last year sometime, I'm walking through, the A train has this long passage, I think at 42nd Street. And I saw one of my students, a younger female student, and at the time she was in middle school, and she graduated to high school. And this happened twice. You see students when they're younger, and you see them, and you're like, I kind of think I know that person. And you're like, wait a minute, they must have went through puberty or something, like a little bit older. And for me, the best feeling is when they recognize you, and they stop you and they're like, hey teacher, hey Mr. J, hey Mr. F, whatever the case is. And for me, it says that, at least they remembered me, and at least they felt comfortable enough to say something to me and not avoid me. So, I've had those circumstances. And even very recently, I taught on 14th Street at Grace Church. There was a program there, Go Project. And again, very short summer program. And I'm on 14th Street, and I just relocated to Harlem recently. And about a week ago, I'm on 125th Street in Harlem.
Oh, wow.
And I see students there, and I saw a student with their parent, and you see so many of these kids as an educator that you just kind of like, I kind of remember that person, so you wave, and I waved, and the girl, she got excited, and she's like, that's my art teacher, Oh, wow. And so you're able to see, the parents and how the parents, how they appreciate it. And me being a parent as well, and having had a student in the public school system, and knowing some of the ins and outs of, how parents and teachers interact, and that there, in some cases, has been and can be somewhat of a rift between parents and teachers. This sort of thing of, where sometimes the parents feel like they're not, working in accordance with the teacher. They kind of feel like, the teacher may be working against them. This teacher may not be interested in my student, or may not like my child, or whatever the case is. So for me, it was also, a lot of that is also, not going beyond just the student, and extending, to the parent, and letting them know that I'm here for them. I'm here for, I'm here for the student and for you. I'm on your side. I'm here to help. So that's been a phenomenal experience. Like just feeling like I'm doing something substantial. Like my life is worth something. And I'm a water bag, man. There's been times where I've been teaching and I get on my lunch break and I just break down and start crying. I'm walking down the street and
that's healthy. That's that's how it should be.
Yeah, because it feels like I'm, my life is worth something. And beyond, I kind of want to mention as a side, beyond teaching, I'm also doing some work as an activist, and uh, where incarcerated people are concerned. So I've worked on some books. I have I have worked in a book. Let me see. I'm
Yeah.
gonna grab it really quickly. I think this is one of the more important books that I have here. So I have these are a few books that just some of the publications that I worked in. This is Prisons of Creativity, and it's by John R. Whitman, and it's actually more of a textbook type of form. So it's actually a college book, but it's a book that's focused on if while you're incarcerated, what do you own as an artist? So for instance, if I paint or draw on a prison sheet, being that the sheet is issued by the state, does it still belong to the state, or is it my?
Wait, I never thought about this. So they would take it away from you?
They can, or is it my? Is it now my property because it's art? It's been modified in a way, maybe it's been cut to a certain size. Then I've also drawn on it. Does that art now belong to me, or does it still belong to the state? So that's what this entire book is about. And this, again, it's a means of being an advocate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
and I have some.
So cool.
Yeah, I have some drawings in there. Just like I have maybe 2 drawings of that in that book.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Once we wrap it up, this is really cool. I'll definitely share this on the podcast. This is available for purchase online?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And the book is Prisons of Creativity by John R. Whitman. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then this isn't an art focused book. This is a book by Craig Taylor, and it's New Yorkers, a city, and its people in our time. And it's kind of like a verbal account of my experience of having been an artist, a formerly incarcerated artist in New York City. So it's basically just like a conversation of, just me talking.
Yeah.
And he edited it really well so that it's in everyone's voice, but there's several chapters in here. There's like,
I'll definitely check it out. That's also available for...
Yes.
What's the best way to get it? Like Amazon or their own website?
I believe both books are on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. And that book may actually, if it's not on Amazon, I believe it's on, I believe Routledge has a site that it's on, the publishing company.
How do you pronounce it?
Routledge? I believe. Routledge. I'm not sure. And so I've also... there's an art collector, philanthropist, just phenomenal person, Agnes Gunn.
Oh yeah.
I've been fortunate to be included in. She has like a birthday celebration.
Oh wow.
That amazing. I'm not sure if they do it every year or if I'm just new to it.
Yeah. But
she has a birthday celebration where they compile work from artists. You dedicate a piece to her, or you make a small piece for her, or a card. And this book isn't published; it's more of like a collector's item. But I feel really, I feel great to have been included in. I mean, I'm in a book with Jeff Koons, Rashid Johnson, like
great artists.
I can't. Here's my actual piece there.
Oh wow, you did that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. It was just like her.
Thank you.
This is so cool. Thank you. Oh,
but
wow.
I mean, there's the list of artists that I'm included within that, within that book.
It's a great piece.
Thank you.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And this is a recent
yeah, this is recent. This is for Aggie's 85th birthday. Okay. Yeah. So again, I mean, like Richard Serra, Cindy Sherman, Micheline Thomas, like they, to be included, with those artists is, to me, is a really big deal. Yeah. And it makes me feel, again, great as an artist, as a person. It makes me feel like people care about what I'm doing. Yeah. That I'm moving in the right direction.
You are. For sure.
And recently, very recently, so I also, again, I'm doing a lot of publications and doing a lot of work, illustration work, and moving into. I'm trying to move away from that soon, but I still really do enjoy it. And this is a magazine. It's called Dr. Clean Magazine. It's a magazine that is. I'm not sure if they're going to continue, but it's by a film producer.
Okay.
And I really like what do you call them? Grindhouse movies, like B-list movies, like movies that are intentionally bad, like for entertainment. But so I came across this movie and I got into a discussion about it with someone online, with I believe one of the directors online, and I mentioned I just like bad movies. It doesn't. I like intentionally bad movies. Well, I'm trying to think of like there's a movie called The Stuff.
Okay.
I think James Gunn maybe. I think he may have started off doing those movies. I could be wrong. It's one of those big name producers. I could be wrong about who it is, but they started off doing like really bad movies, and now they're a really famous producer. And then also, Toxic Avengers. I'm not sure if you know Toxic Avengers. They just remade the movie, so it should be coming out soon, either this year or next year. And it's a movie from the '80s, another really bad B-list movie. But I've worked with I'm kind of going on a tangent right now, but I worked with there's a it's called Trauma. There's a company called Trauma, but I feel so bad I can't remember his name, and he's like one of my favorite producers ever. But his daughter actually makes films now.
Oh wow!
So it was a very weird thing. Like I've been following this guy's movies for years, and like binge watching his movies and like trying to get other people interested, and his daughter contacted me.
No way.
Just like out of the blue. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Contacted me and she said, look, we know, we saw some of your work and we're doing this film about prisons, and they're working on a film called The Alabama Solution.
Okay.
And it's about the sheer amount of deaths in the Alabama prison system. I think one year there was, within 2 years, there was something like close to 1,000 deaths, like either murders or suicides.
Is that where they found like all those bodies buried, like in the behind the prison or something?
I think so. I believe so.
That was horrible.
So she contacted me to do some art for her film, but again, it was just like, wait a minute, I grew up watching this guy's movies, and then I'm
telling you, the universe is like has your back, because everything is like always like little full circle moments.
Insane. I'm
That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at her name and I'm like, this name looks familiar. And I said, let me look it up. And I looked it up, and sure enough, that's her dad. And so I worked with her, but then so I did some work in this magazine, and this again wasn't an actual illustration, like it wasn't an actual illustration job, but I started working on these like
that's really cool.
Sort of like I call them sad Muppets. They're just like Muppets, and I wanted to do something initially that isn't hey, you can take a look. I wanted to do something that isn't directly human. I wanted to do something
it's not human, but it's so relatable. Like it's so full of emotion. You know what I mean? It's so heavy.
So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that made you feel a sense of empathy or sympathy or just have some feeling that you can relate to something that isn't human.
Yeah.
But and also as a means of therapy. At the time, I was going through a breakup in a relationship and a little bit depressed about it and stressed out, and I felt like this would be a good way to get some art done, but also a way to be a little bit more lighthearted and comical about it, and not, have that feeling of being dragged down by like an actual depiction of a person being depressed,
Yeah, this is much more relatable. Yeah, I mean, your story is amazing. Thank you for sharing this. I'll make sure to put this on the Instagram.
Thank you.
But I think you're like in such an interesting time of your life. I think the best time of your life, What do you see for yourself like in the future? Like what's next for you that you would like to tackle?
At this time, I really want to continue making art. I think maybe because I'm in a different circumstance as some of the other artists that I'm familiar with, where I'm a little bit older and I started a little bit later. And because I'm still kind of wrestling with seeing this as a sole means of income, and wondering about whether or not I'm going to compromise my ideals or my work, based on the idea that I need to make money, and being sort of not worried about it, but a little bit more reserved about it. That I haven't thought about this in a way as a career, like, as with education, where I'm saying, if I start here, within 5 years I can be here and I can do this and I can get that done. This is more of just a journey to me, where I kind of just want to pull my ideas out and establish my ideas and have those ideas ready to show. So I really just want to continue working. I have ideas that I want to, like I said, that I want to accomplish and I want to show, but I just want to continue working. It's not like, and I don't want to seem like I don't have hope, but it's not like when I was a kid, and when you're a kid and like, when I turned 18,
you're just thinking grown,
you're
like business minded, which is normal,
Oh, when you're a kid, you're like, when I turn 18, I'm gonna have a car, I'm gonna have a mansion. I'm just at the place of like, I just want to keep making art. I just want the opportunity to keep making art, whatever it takes. And I would love to continue to be in galleries and museums. I just sent a self-portrait to the Kimball Art Center in Utah.
Oh, nice.
So I've never even been to Utah. So, it's.
I think, speaking from you for this podcast episode, I think like just me thinking in the future, I think like a retrospective of your work would be amazing, because you did say you've been like creating since you were young. So I hope you do have like those early on drawings or anything. That would be so dope to see.
Unfortunately, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. I think I have maybe nearly 10 years of sketchbooks there.
Oh, wow.
That I've done a lot of work just like compiling my sketchbooks, and there's sort of a history of what I'm doing. My most recently completed sketchbook here. And so, if you are interested, I also have on my website, I have a video that was done by a production company called Model Pictures.
Okay.
And it's just a really short video about sort of similar stuff about my life, about me having been incarcerated and what I do as an artist, and my son and how all those sorts of things affected me. But they really focus on me drawing on a train, and so a lot of what I do is, this is one of my more recent sketchbooks, and it's just recently completed. And I use these. Here are the actual drawings from their magazine. And I use these in several ways, as a means of therapy, as a means of work. This was actually from a movie project. So I use it sometime to work through things. They're all purpose.
Oh, that's
work
from
with
the
things.
mat.
Yes,
That's my favorite sculpture there. I forget the name of it.
yeah. It's let's see if I wrote it down.
It's a great
Why
drawing of
Born
it.
Enslaved by John Baptiste Capo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I tend to, and this is again from life.
yeah.
Just going to the Met and drawing from life. This was another artist, Liu Suzaraja, at PS1,
Mhm.
and just looking at things and drawing things.
So cool.
More people on the train, and practicing. Just this is just basically what I do when I have
able
time.
to capture not only like the subject but the emotion that the person is feeling, and then convey it to the person. Because like I don't know any of these people, but like I can kind of feel what they're feeling. You know what I mean? Like being on the
Yes.
train after a long day, work sucks. I'm so tired. Gotta go home and cook. Like that type of vibe.
Yeah.
You portray that so well.
Thank you. So I think that psychology is also really important to me.
Yeah.
Is trying to find ways to depict the humanity of people,
Yeah.
and not just drawing a person.
Yeah.
Because I'll always be chasing reality.
Yeah.
I don't want to like feel like I'm taking away from anyone else or what anyone else is doing as far as like art. But I think by the definition of the word abstract,
Yeah.
I think what I'm doing for me would be considered abstract art.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people consider it figurative,
Mhm.
based on the idea that there's figurative. There are actually people being shown here and objects being shown here. But if you think about the definition of the word abstract, to abstract,
Yeah.
to abstract something means to take away from something.
Yeah.
And I'm directly taken away from life and from nature. I'm directly taken away from, the world that I see around me. So I'm abstracting this information and repurposing it
Yes.
to try to depict it in a way that is as accurate as I can make it. And so I see myself as an abstract artist in that
Yeah.
sense, not in a traditional sense. And that gives me, it puts me in a place where I'll always be chasing. I'll never be able to draw actual skin. No matter how well I'll paint it, I can paint it photographically,
Yeah.
but it's not actually the skin.
Yeah.
It's just a painting of the skin. It's like who said it? This is not a pipe. The Marguerite, was that Rene Magritte?
Maybe.
He has the painting where he has the piping on the bottom. It's in French.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not French. So but he has that the painting where he mentions that this is not a pipe, it's a painting.
Yeah.
It's a depiction of a pipe.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't like to I don't like to be pigeonholed in that sense of like whether or not what I'm doing is abstract or if it's one thing or the other. And then also Milton Glaser, he's also one of my favorite artists. He's a graphic designer. He did the I Love New York t-shirts. He designed
really?
those. That
Wow.
literally he designed that. Didn't get paid for it because by the time it got out,
Yeah.
people were making t-shirts and
Well, that's
who
so
he
iconic.
can't sue everybody for
Yeah.
it. But he said, and I don't want to like totally misconstrue the quote or mess it up, but he said the greatest enemy of art is the institutionalization of styles. And I think when we start separating those styles, I think right now we're in a great era where you can have a gallery where you can have what's called figurative or what's called abstract alongside photography or alongside video or alongside sound. You have all of these different mediums that or techniques or styles that that can be brought together. But for me, I don't want to limit myself. So right now I am working in a much more obvious and figurative way, but I don't see myself as, as just solely a figurative artist or just a figurative artist.
Yeah.
You know, I just see myself as an artist who's exploring and you know, trying to find my place, my way to communicate.
Yeah.
And yes, the psychology again is very important to me. I want to be able to show humanity and as empathetic a way as I can, and without, sometimes that also is an issue, is like, am I inserting myself too much into the work, you know, and trying my hardest to like depict this person as they are, you know, if they're sad, if they're happy, if there's a slight smirk on their face, if they're, you know, engaged with what they're doing on their phone, if they're shocked about it, if they're surprised, if they're tired, like you said, they're coming home from a long day.
You capture it so well, yeah.
But then also documenting. I have another book up there that around the time of COVID, I was an essential worker during COVID, and I you know, for me it was like a continuation of history. You see, like where some artists like George Gross is you know, doing paintings of during wartime, and like you know bodies being, you know, shot, and you know, people, you know, death, depictions of death, or like what is it, Goya. I absolutely love Goya, absolutely in my heart. But he also has like I forget what it's called. I think they're called the something of war. But he has all of these prints that are like sort of like the casualties of war.
Yeah.
So for me, being on the train and you know, doing all these drawings of people with their masks and like people trying to social distance and all of these sorts of things, that was my way of documenting that sort of war.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm you know, going along in essence with that sort of, not legacy, but that process. You know, so that those are things that are really important to me. And even now, this is my most recent sketchbook. I think maybe within like the last day or two, I did some drawings in here, and I'm still just drawing people on the train and documenting my experience and more movie stuff. I believe this was from the Alabama Solution, the movie I worked on, and I'm currently working on a movie with Faith Ringgold. Not with Faith Ringgold. She has some art. The movie's called, well, not currently working on it. The movie is actually out. It's like, it's been shot at some indie theaters. It was at Sundance. It's called, it's actually by Catherine Gunn, Agnes Gunn's daughter. So and she's a phenomenal director and producer. It's amazing what some of these people can do. You see one film and you're like, oh, I really like that film. And you see another one and like,
I like this better.
I like this one too, but it's so vastly different. Like this movie that we worked on was kind of like, oh, well, here's my sort of comic book influence. I'm still, you know, haven't given up on that.
That's really
and these are, again, working through ideas. This is so this is sort of a part of my process, and you can see, let me drop that there. You can see like some of the motif, similar idea of the motif there.
That's really cool.
And I'll talk about that in a bit. But these are you know, this was one that I referenced that's showing that the Center for Art and Advocacy, but it's also done on a prison mirror. And so just trying my best to depict people in a way that I feel like is respectful and dignified, and you know, shows them some reverence to humanity, you know, to show my love for society and humanity. I'm always conflicted. Like I said, I'm an introvert, so I'm always like, I don't want to be around these people. I want to go home. But then I'm also like, you know, you get to the end of the day and like, people are really good.
Yeah.
Most people are really good,
Yeah.
and I really do care about other people.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is also, a lot of what I'm doing is trying to show that as well.
All right. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I love hearing about just the timeline of your work, your creative process. If you don't mind sharing again your Instagram and website with us.
My Instagram is Jaiquan _Fayson.
Perfect. Can you just spell that for all the English and the
Yes.
second language people like me, please?
JAIQUAN _FAYSON. And it's JAIQUAN FAYSON.com.
Thank you so much again. And make sure to look out on the Instagram and on the YouTube account. We're going to be doing like an in-depth video of all the details and all the background of his paintings. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see a future retrospective of your work. I know that's going to happen. The universe has your back.
Thank you.
Until we see you again for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.